Welcome back, students. Let's continue with the chapter that is atoms and molecules. In the last class, we have studied about the laws of chemical combinations. In that, we have discussed about the laws which were proposed by Antonia and Lavoisier and James Proust, which were laws of conservation of mass and the laws of definite proportion. Now, moving further in this chapter, we are going to study about the next next topic in this chapter, that is the atoms. The definition of the atom or the discovery of atom. So let's start here. So the next problem which was faced by the scientist was to give appropriate explanation for these laws. Okay, for these two laws, that is the laws of chemical combination, that is first the law of conservation of mass and the law of definite proportion. So a proper definition was to be provided to these two laws, and for that a chemist whose name was James John Dalton. Okay, John Dalton, which is who was a British chemist, has given a basic theory. Okay, about the nature of matter, which was explaining these two laws. Okay, it was explaining these two laws also very well, and that two laws were included in his this theory, which was called as the theory of atom. Okay, Dalton's atomic theory or Dalton's theory of atom. So here Dalton has picked up the idea of divisibility of matter. Okay, he has picked up the idea of the divisibility of matter, which was till then just a philosophy, but he has given the name of the smallest indivisible substance which can be taken up by the smallest particle in which an matter can be broken. Okay, and this particular atoms word, okay, this particular word atom, okay, it has been taken from the Greek word that was atomos. Okay, atomos, which means tiny indivisible particle. Tiny indivisible particle. Okay, atom, it was taken from the Greek word that is atomos. Okay, now after giving this name to the tiny particles which cannot be further divided, okay, he has given the he has given his theory on the basis of these laws of chemical combination only, and this theory is termed as the Dalton's atomic theory. Okay, it has been termed as the Dalton's atomic theory. So in the Dalton's atomic theory, what Dalton has shown, Dalton has followed both the law, that is the law of conservation of mass also, and also the law of definite proportion also. Okay, both the laws has been included or has been followed in order to make his theory. So you can just read out the brief description of the Dalton's life in your NCERT book. It has been provided out there. Okay, so if you want, you can just go through it from your NCERT. Now, moving further, let's study about the John Dalton's atomic theory. Okay, what was the John Dalton's atomic theory? So these were the postulates of the John Dalton's atomic theory. So, according to the John Dalton's atomic theory, all matters, whether an element or a compound or a mixture, is composed of small particles called atoms. And the following are the postulates of this theory. Okay, so these are the postulates of the theory of the John Dalton. So first, what he has given, the first postulate can be taken as that all the matter, whether it can be an element or a compound or a mixture, they all are composed of very tiny particles which are called atoms. Okay, which are called atoms, and these tiny particles or these tiny substances, these tiny atoms, they participate in a chemical reaction. Okay, they participate in a chemical reaction, or they are the smallest substance which can take participation in a chemical reaction. Next, second postulate is saying that atoms are indivisible particles. Okay, he has stated that atoms are indivisible. We cannot further divide the atoms. Okay, atoms cannot be further divided. Okay, he has said that atoms are indivisible. Next, atoms can neither be created nor can be destroyed. Okay, so this particular law, that is the second law, it is following the law of conservation of mass. Okay, the second postulate of the Dalton's law is following the law of conservation of mass, because in the law of conservation of mass, what we have studied that the whole of the mass of the universe is constant. Okay, in the law of conservation of mass was what we have studied. We have studied that in the law of conservation of mass, law of conservation of mass, in that we have studied the total mass of the universe is the total mass of the universe is constant. No new mass or matter can be created or can be destroyed. They just change their state from one to another or form from one to another only. Okay, so here in the second postulate, what we have seen, he has stated that atoms can not be created or or they cannot be destroyed. Be destroyed. Okay, so what this particular second postulate is explaining, it is explaining the law of conservation of mass. Okay, next, in the next third means in the third postulate, what he has given, in the third postulate he has said that atoms of a given element are identical in mass and chemical properties. Okay, atoms of a given elements are identical in mass and chemical properties. So how we can explain this? So we can explain this by the rule that let us say I have taken hydrogen gas. Okay, I have taken hydrogen gas in amount of 10 liters. So naturally there will be large number of millions and millions of particles or atoms of hydrogen, that is H2, H will be there, hydrogen. Okay, atoms will be there, millions of atoms of hydrogen atoms will be there. Okay, so in this 10-liter particles, in this 10 liter of hydrogen gas, in this 10 liter of hydrogen gas, millions of atoms of hydrogen are there, and each atom of hydrogen, each atom of hydrogen will be identical, means they will be having the same mass. Okay, they will be having the same mass and they will be having the same chemical properties. Okay, they will be having the same chemical properties. This was the third postulate of the Dalton. Okay, this was the third postulate of the Dalton for the atoms. Also, uh, in his fourth postulate, what he has said, in his fourth postulate he has said atoms of different elements have different masses and chemical properties. Okay, atoms of different elements have different masses and chemical properties. So also we can compare, if we are going to compare the hydrogen gas with the oxygen gas. Okay, 10 liters of hydrogen gas and 10 liters of oxygen gas is been taken out here. So here we can see that millions and millions of O2 atoms will be here, oxygen atoms will be here. Okay, oxygen atoms will be here. So when we are comparing this oxygen atom with that of the hydrogen atoms, okay, so we will see that both the masses, that is the mass of oxygen, will be different from that of the, it will be different from that of the hydrogen's mass. Okay, also we will see that they will be having different chemical properties. They will be having different chemical properties as comparison to that of the hydrogen. Okay, so hence atoms of different elements will be having different masses and different chemical properties. Okay, next, in the fifth postulate, what Dalton has proposed, in the fifth postulate, he has said that atoms combine in the ratio of small whole numbers to form compounds. Okay, atoms combines in the ratio of small whole numbers to form the compounds. So what are compounds? First thing will arise in your mind, that what is a compound. So compounds are what? In the first and the second chapter we have studied about the elements and compounds, and the compounds are what? When two or more substances chemically combine with each other, chemically combine with each other, chemically combine with each other in a specific proportion, in a specific proportion, they they produce, or they form compounds. They form compounds. Okay, for example, when one carbon atom is been attached with two oxygen atom, it forms carbon dioxide. Similarly, when two hydrogen atoms attach with one oxygen, it forms water. Two hydrogen combines with one sulfur and four oxygen, it forms sulfuric acid. Okay, so here we can see that the compounds are carrying some special ratios or specific ratios with them. If I am taking an example for CO, means one oxygen with one carbon, then it will be different compound and it will be named as carbon monoxide. So carbon monoxide is different from that of the carbon dioxide. Similarly, if H2O2 is there, then it is not water, it is hydrogen peroxide. So as we are changing the ratio or the proportion of the combination of the elements, we will change the compound also. Similarly, if we are taking H2SO5, then it is sulfurous acid. It is not sulfuric acid, it is sulfurous acid. The nature, the chemical properties of the sulfurous acid is different as comparison to that of the sulfuric acid. Okay, so with the change in the ratio of the combination of the elements, substances to form a compound, the compound will also be changing out. Okay, so hence this was the fifth postulate in the Dalton's atomic theory. The sixth postulate he has given, that the relative number and the kinds of atoms are constant in a given compound. Yes, I have explained that to you only. Means whatever the source of the water may be, whatever the source of water may be, it will always be having the chemical formula, that is H2O only. Okay. Similarly, whatever the source of the carbon dioxide, it will always be having the formula of CO2 only. Okay. So hence, hence, the compounds are having a perfect ratio or a relative number between the elements which are constituting a compound. Now, let's see some of the questions which are given out here in this particular page, that is page number 32. So first, what a question is asking out here, in a reaction, 5.3 grams of sodium carbonate reacted with 6 grams of acetic acid. The products were 2.2 grams of carbon dioxide, 0.9 grams of water, and 8.2 grams of sodium acetate. Show that these observation, okay, show that these observations are in agreement of the law of conservation of mass. Okay, so by using the different values which is been provided to you, we have to we have to give that the given equation is following the law of conservation of mass. Okay, so for this, let's take the given example of the question. So what it has given, the chemical reaction is saying that calcium carbonate, okay, sodium carbonate is reacted with acetic acid here. Okay, so sodium carbonate means Na2CO3. It has been reacted with acetic acid, that is CS3COOH, to form sodium acetate, that is CH3COONA plus H2O and CO2, I think so. Okay, H2O and CO2 only, carbon dioxide and water. Okay, so let's take the amount, that is 5.3 grams of sodium carbonate and 6 grams of acetic acid is there. The mass of sodium carbonate is 5.3 grams, 6 grams of acetic acid, 2.2 CO2, 0.9 water and 8.9 sodium acetate. 8.9 grams of sodium acetate, 2.2 grams of water and 0.9 grams of carbon dioxide. I think so. I may have done the wrong thing here. That 2.2 is of carbon dioxide and 0.9 is of water. Okay, so let it be like this. So here, when we are calculating the total mass of the reactant side, okay, first thing you must know that this particular arrow is termed as gives. Okay, so on the left hand side of the arrow, the reactants are present. The reactants are present, and on the right hand side of the arrow, means on the right hand side of the gives, the products are present. So the total mass of the reactant here is 11.3 grams, that is 5.3 plus 6 grams, that is 11.3 grams. Similarly here, the total mass of the product will be 8.9 plus 0.9 plus 2.2, that is 3.1. 3.1 plus 8.9, it will be 3.1. Okay, sorry, 2.2, if I'm not wrong. 8.2, 0.9, 2.2. Okay. 8.9, it is not 8.9, it is 8.2 grams. By mistake, I have given, okay, 8.2 grams. So here it will be 3.1 plus 8.2. So it will be 11.3. So answer will be 11.3 grams here. So here we can see that the mass of reactants is equals to the total mass of the products. Okay, so here we will see that the mass on the LHS side is equals to the mass on the RHS side. So what we are getting, that we are getting the knowledge that the hence the observation is that the given chemical equation follows the law of conservation of mass. Conservation of mass. Okay, let's move further and see the next question here. So the next question here is, hydrogen and oxygen combines in the ratio 1:8 by mass to form water. What mass of oxygen gas would be required to react completely with 3 grams of hydrogen gas? Okay, so here a ratio has been provided where hydrogen and oxygen are combining with each other to form the water here. So what is that ratio? That ratio is 1:8. Okay, that ratio is 1:8, where hydrogen combines with oxygen to form water. Okay, so if 3 grams of hydrogen is there, so how much amount of oxygen will be required in order to combine with it to form water. Okay, so what we can do, anything more is given. 3 grams of hydrogen gas. Okay, so here 3 grams of hydrogen gas is there, and the ratio here is so simple. The ratio here is 1 by 8, and we know that the mass of hydrogen here is 3. So if the mass of hydrogen is 3, then we will multiply the mass of oxygen, that is the ratio of oxygen, with the 3 only. So we will get the answer as 3 by 24. So hence the mass of hydrogen will be 3 grams, and the mass of oxygen which will be required here, it will be of 24 grams. So when 3 grams of oxygen will be mixing with 24 grams of 3 grams of hydrogen will be mixing with 24 grams of oxygen, then they will be forming what? They will be forming water. And how much water they will form? They will form 27 grams of water. Okay, they will form there 27 grams of water. Okay, so like this we can solve this particular question which has been given out here. That is question number 2 of the page number 33. Next, in the next question, which postulate of Dalton's atomic theory is the result of the law of conservation of mass? So I have explained you this thing before only, that the second postulate, okay, the second postulate in which he has explained that the atoms can neither be created nor it can be destroyed. It explains the it is the result of the law of conservation of mass. Similarly, the next question is that which postulate of Dalton's atomic theory can explain the law of definite proportion? So the law of definite proportion is been explained by which particular postulate? So let's see that postulates. So here he has explained, Dalton has explained about the definite proportion in this particular fifth number of postulate, where what he has said? He has says that atoms combine in the ratio of small whole numbers to form compounds. Okay, and the relative number and kinds of the the relative numbers and kinds of the atoms are constant in a given compound. So the fifth and the sixth postulates, or we can say that the sixth postulate alone is explaining the or it is based on the, or it is been based on the uh, law of definite proportion. Okay, so the answer for the third is second postulate. It is based on the law of conservation of mass, and the sixth postulate is based on the law of the definite proportion. Okay, so these were the questions which was given here in this particular page number 32 and 33. Now moving further, let's talk about what is an atom. So here we have seen that from the theory of the Dalton, we have got a knowledge about the atoms, the smallest particles which are been constituting a matter. Okay, so according to this, we can make a definition for the atom, and the definition for the atom can be taken as atom. So what are atom? Atoms can be defined as a unit substance which repeats repeats itself again and again, and combines with each other to form a matter. Okay, so atoms are what? Atoms are the smallest unit. Okay, they are the smallest unit which repeats themselves and combine with each other to form the matter. For example, here you can take a very simple example for a building. So for a building, the unit part will be, what will be the unit part for that particular building? The unit part for the building are what? They are the bricks. Okay, they are the bricks. So if I'm considering a brick like this, if I'm considering a brick, So a brick is what? A brick is the unit part of a brick of a building. Okay, it is a unit part of a building, and this brick means we will repeat bricks. One more brick will be added out here in the right hand side and in the left hand side. Like this, we will add more bricks here, and we will place them above and below, and all the places we have been covered up with the brick in order to make a wall. Then walls will be constituted to form a room, and the rooms will be constituted to form a building there. Okay, so if I am considering about the unit part of a building, then it will be only a brick which is repeating itself, and they are combined with each other with the form of a with the by the means of a mortar or cement. Okay, so the bricks are the unit substance, which can be considered as atoms for a building. Similarly, the matter from which they are formed, they are the atoms. Okay, so they are the atoms which are repeating themselves to constitute that particular matter. Okay, so hence the definition of matter has been given out. Let's move further. So what is the size of an atom? Okay, if I am saying that the atoms are the very tiny particles, so how we can measure the atom, how we can measure the size of the atom? So atoms are very small, they are very tiny. Okay, they are very smaller than anything that we can imagine or compare with. More than millions of atoms, when stacked together, would make a layer barely as thick as a thin sheet of paper. Okay, when millions, okay, you can understand millions of atoms are combining with each other, or they have been kept on one over other. So there we will form a very thin sheet, or a very thin layer, which can be that of a thin sheet of paper. Okay, which can be compared to the thickness of the paper. So here we can take the condition that the atomic radius. Okay, so how to measure atom? So atoms are generally measured, atoms measurement. So for measurement of atoms, we consider the atomic radius. What we consider? We consider the atomic radius. Okay, so what is the atomic radius? Atomic radius is nothing other than the radius of an atom. Okay, it is the radius of atom. And for measuring the radius of atom, the different units are taken out there. For example, 1 nanometer, 1 nanometer, which equals to 1 by 10 to the power 9 meters, that can be also represented as 10 to the power minus 9 meters. 1 micrometer, that is 1 upon 10 to the power 6 meters, 10 to the power minus 6 meters. Okay, if you want to go further, you can take one more example, that is 1 picometer, that is 1 upon 10 to the power 12 meters, which equals to 10 to the power minus 12 meters. Okay, so these are the units which are used for the measurement of atoms, because they are very tiny. We can't imagine also that much tiny are they. Okay, so hence in order to measure the atoms, this kind of units, very smaller units, are being used out there. Okay, so here some of the example for the units of for the radius of the atoms are given, such as for hydrogen, the atom's radius of the hydrogen is 10 to the power minus 10 meters. For a molecule of water, it is 10 to the power minus 9 meters. For molecule of hemoglobin, what is hemoglobin? Hemoglobin is a red color, due to which the red color of your blood is there. Okay, so it is of size 10 to the power minus 8 meters. Okay, grain of a sand. Okay, grain of a sand. How much it is bigger? It is 10 to the power minus 4. Okay, meters. Ant is 10 to the power minus 3 meters, and apple is 10 to the power minus 1 meter. Okay, so you can compare that what is the size of the atom of hydrogen. So hydrogen is very much smaller than that of the size of an ant or an apple or a grain of a sand. Okay, so hence we cannot imagine the size of the atoms very easily. They are that much smaller. Okay, they are that much smaller. So these were about the atoms or the discovery of atom, which was given by the Dalton's atomic theory. In this particular part, we have studied about the discovery of atom and we have solved this particular question solved. So in the next class, we will continue. In the next class, we will continue with the further part of the chapter, which will be including the modern day symbols of the atoms and of different elements, and also the different properties related to the atoms. Okay. So for today's class, I am ending the class here only. We will meet up in the next class. Thank you.